You know that sinking feeling when understand a system you've spent? That was me last Friday, and realizing someone with an experience thought they could. I'd spent 15 years perfecting. And for nearly 2 decades, I've overseen budgets exceeding $2 billion and implemented systems that kept millions of down to the cent. Yet here I was, laptop and a title that sounded zero real-world weight, one tiny formula. And as I would soon learn, just cost money. It would cost me my 22nd floor of Kensington Financial always, printer toner. Desks were cluttered with spreadsheets, binders that seemed to multiply. Constant reminder that mistakes here weren't just every week. I balanced tens of millions in salaries, ensuring that not a single person could trigger audits, fines, or worse, who relied on timely paychecks to put food on the table. The higher-ups had decided it was time for innovation. Enter Amanda, freshly minted MBA, a title that practically screamed charts and algorithms, but none of the muscle memory. My 15 years of navigating messy, her confidence and my caution were, shake the entire department. Audit I was reviewing when I noticed a tiny match-up with historical trends. At first, Amanda had overwritten calculations across 5. One misaligned cell. Took a deep breath. But there was something about the way she smiled as she walked past my desk that made my blood boil. I'm modernizing the spreadsheets, she said casually. Someone brand new thinks they, decades mastering, staring at a spreadsheet that could make or break the careers of hundreds of people. MBA and 6 months of improve everything. I'm Daniel Harper, 42 years old. I've managed corporate payroll operations for Fortune 500 companies, navigated regulatory minefields, paychecks accurate facing a rookie with a impressive but carried one misplaced cell, and everything I'd built could unravel in minutes. That tiny mistake wouldn't jobbed at the payroll department on the smelled like recycled coffee and a strange mix of urgency and complacency, manuals and stacks of compliance. Overnight, the fluorescent lights hummed numbers. They were livelihoods, bonuses, and benefits. Underpaid or overpaid, one wrong cell reference. Chaos in the lives of employees, mortgages in order, or kids through school. And yet, Cole, 26, strategic payroll optimization specialist. She had ideas you get from real-world experience. To her, real-life payroll problems were just legacy methods. Little did I know. About to collide in a way that would, and my career. It started with a routine, the monthly payroll projections, inconsistency, a number that didn't. I thought it was a simple formatting error. Then I realized the truth. A formula that controlled overtime, departments, one wrong function, and the system would miscalculate millions in payroll within hours. Reminding myself not to panic. In my 15 years, I'd seen far worse, confident and oblivious, tapping her tablet like she had just discovered the cure for corporate inefficiency. I didn't respond. I simply ran a quick simulation, confirming my fears. The formula would trigger cascading errors that HR, finance, and compliance would spend days untangling. I looked up at her, keeping my voice steady. "Amanda," I said, "I think you need to double-check the payroll model before it goes live. This one tiny change could cost the company and me everything." Her eyes flicked up, surprised. But she didn't grasp the magnitude yet. By mid-afternoon, the first alarms went off. HR had noticed discrepancies in the preliminary payroll reports, and whispers started circulating through the open office. Amanda had already spun her narrative. Daniel overlooked critical inefficiencies in the model. My updates were necessary. Suddenly I wasn't the cautious veteran. I was the obstacle. Emails from managers with polite but pointed inquiries arrived in rapid succession. "Daniel, please clarify the variance in your projections," one read. "Ensure all formulas comply with new optimization protocols," said another. My inbox felt like a tribunal, and every message was another step closer to termination. Meanwhile, Amanda walked past, carrying her tablet like a badge of honor, unaware or deliberately ignoring the chaos she'd unleashed. I watched colleagues glance at me, some sympathetic, some hesitant, and realized how quickly politics could magnify a single mistake. The CFO called for an impromptu meeting. Amanda presented her charts, her voice confident and polished. She framed the error as my failure, a relic of outdated methods that couldn't survive the modern payroll environment. I listened quietly, letting her words hang in the air, knowing that objecting too loudly would only play into her hands. The end of the meeting, the message was clear. My position was now on the line. The company valued innovation over experience, algorithms over judgment. And just like that, a department I had helped build, a system I had meticulously maintained, was now a battlefield, and I was the target. After the meeting, I retreated to my office, closing the door behind me and letting the hum of fluorescent lights fade into silence. I sat at my desk, scanning the error, the reports, and Amanda's modernized system. The irony was almost comical. She had created a machine that looked impressive on a screen but couldn't account for the nuances of real payroll, operations, the exceptions, the historical adjustments, the unspoken agreements that kept the system running smoothly. I didn't panic. I never had. Instead, I began mapping out what she didn't know, all the subtle checks and balances embedded over years, the handshakes, phone calls, personal relationships with department heads and external auditors. Amanda could try to force compliance protocols, but she had no context, no intuition, and no institutional memory. Realized that the true leverage wasn't confrontation. It was patience. Let her push the system to its limits. Let her take credit, make decisions and stumble. Every miscalculation, every panic-induced email, every frustrated meeting would compound until she understood exactly what she didn't know. I had 15 years of experience stored in my head and a mental map of every payroll contingency. I didn't need to intervene. I just needed to wait, confident that the system she thought she controlled would quietly, but inevitably collapse. And when it did, she wouldn't have anyone to blame but herself. By the end of the week, the cracks began to show. Amanda's optimized payroll system had miscalculated over time for multiple departments, triggered duplicate bonus payments, and created conflicting deductions that HR had no protocol to resolve. She ran from desk to desk, tablet in hand, barking instructions she didn't fully understand. Compliance officers were summoned, emails flew like missiles, and panic spread through the office. The very system she had boasted about was unraveling under her control. I watched from the sidelines, quietly observing the chaos I knew she couldn't fix without guidance. Every mistake, every frustrated call from management reinforced the truth she had ignored. Experience matters, and algorithms can't replace judgment. Amanda tried to recover, re-entering formulas, cross-checking data, and consulting manuals, but she was drowning in a sea of her own creation. Then came the call from the CFO. "Daniel, can you review the adjustments?" Amanda's confident smile faltered. She had been forced to admit that the one person she had dismissed as obsolete was the only one capable of saving the department from complete disaster. I stepped back, letting her stumble, watching as the consequences of her overconfidence played out. It was poetic justice, no dramatic confrontation, No shouting, just the quiet, inevitable collapse of her illusion of control. And in that silence, I knew dignity and competence had already won. Sitting at my kitchen table that evening, I reflected on what had just unfolded. No shouting, no dramatic showdown, just the quiet truth that competence, experience, and patience always have power in ways titles and buzzwords cannot replicate. Amanda's fatal spreadsheet mistake had been more than an error. It was a reminder that systems are only as strong as the people who truly understand them. I thought about the countless hours, the meticulous attention to detail, the relationships built over years that had kept the payroll department running smoothly. And I smiled, not with gloating, but with clarity. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's being the person no one else can replace. As the office struggled to recover, and Amanda faced the consequences of overconfidence, I realized the real lesson for anyone in corporate life: respect experience, honor diligence, and never underestimate the human element behind the numbers. Knowledge, patience, and integrity always outlast arrogance.